Alice, and today I thought I would share a little winter TBR with you all because, well, it's winter. I've picked out a nice little stack of books that I'm just gonna go through and show you, and I'm really looking forward to just like cuddling up on the couch under a blanket with these books and just be all cozy for the season. So first, I've picked out The Man Who Died Twice by Richard Osman. This is the second book in the Thursday Murder Club series, and I read the first book earlier this year. I think it might have been my first book of 2021, and I loved that book, so I'm really looking forward to getting into this. This series follows a group of pensioners in this idyllic retirement village, and they are like obsessed with crime and discussing murder. And I think what happens in this book is that one of the pensioners gets like a letter, or someone contacts them, and it's like an old friend, and they need help with something, and then I'm assuming there is a murder in here somewhere. I really do just love seeing these old people running around trying to solve mysteries. Like, it's a very simple concept, but it works really well, so it's a lot of fun. Secondly, we have got The Sanatorium by Sarah Pierce, and this seems to have a very wintry setting. It's set at this minimalistic, beautiful hotel up in the Swiss Alps that used to be a sanatorium. And I think we meet this detective who is at the hotel, but not for work. She's there for something else. Like, I think her brother has just gotten engaged, and the brother is like estranged, so it's kind of like a weird situation. And then I think they get snowed in and someone goes missing. And this detective, because obviously she's a detective, she tries to figure out what has happened. And I think this is the kind of mystery that's like a locked room type thing, which I generally really enjoy. And I think the setting sounds really interesting, and there's something very intriguing about a hotel having once been a sanatorium. Another book with a wintry setting I've got is To the Lake by Jana Wagner, and this has been translated from Russian, which is really cool. And it's about this couple who escape Moscow and go to this cabin by a lake in the north of Russia because an epidemic has swept through the city. So they're leaving to try to survive, and they're also trying to survive like the Russian winter while they're there. And then I think they get like some sort of unwelcome guest with them, and that causes a lot of friction. And it sounds very interesting and sounds like it has a great setting. I really haven't read a lot of contemporary Russian fiction. Like, I feel like most of the Russian books that I've read have been classics, so I feel like it'll be very interesting to try some. Then we've got a book that I've been meaning to read for ages, and everyone keeps telling me that I'll love, and it is If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. And this sounds right up my street. Like, it sounds like the perfect book for me, so I don't really know why I haven't read it yet, although I could say that about a lot of the books on my shelves. Anyways, this is kind of like a mystery novel, I guess, and it starts off with this man being released from prison after having spent 10 years there for murder, and when he gets out, the detective who put him in prison comes to meet him because he wants to know what really happened back then. And then I think we return to like a decade ago, and we meet these students at this elite college, and they're studying Shakespeare, and I'm assuming someone dies. A lot of people tell me I'm going to like this because I love The Secret History so much, which makes me both nervous and excited. Like, the thing is, nothing I've ever read compares to The Secret History for me, and so when people say that something is like that book, I'm always a little bit apprehensive, and I'm trying not to get my hopes up with this, but it really does sound very good, and I'm very intrigued by the Shakespeare part of it, so I am going to read this at some point. Next, we have got another book with kind of like an academic setting, and it is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. And in here, we meet this young woman who comes from kind of a rough background, I think, or she's lived a little bit of a rough life, and she is the sole survivor of this horrible multiple homicide. And when she's at the hospital, I think she's offered a place at Yale, to everyone's surprise. And the only thing that she has to do to sort of earn her place is to monitor the secret societies of the school, which sounds very mysterious. There's something about secret societies and academic settings that really appeal to me, so I'm really looking forward to this, and I'm hoping it's going to be as good as I think it's going to be. It does seem to have very good ratings on Goodreads, so that makes me hopeful. Then we have got this beautiful book. It's Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. And I've mentioned this book a couple of times and I still can't tell you what it's about really. I think it's about a creature who lives in a labyrinth. Honestly, I don't know. But everyone tells me that this is really good, even though they can't tell me really what it's about. They say it's really good, and I'm just gonna have to read it and find out for myself. One of the reasons I think I'm going to like this is that a lot of booktubers that I watch that have similar tastes to me really enjoy this book, so I'm just kind of assuming that I'm gonna love it. We've then got some more Shakespeare related stuff with Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell, and I'm really looking forward to this book. I really think I'm gonna like it. It's set in the late 1500s, I think, and we meet Agnes, who is the wife of Shakespeare, and I think it's just about her life and her having 3 children, and one of them is named Hamnet, and Hamnet dies, and then 4 years later Shakespeare writes Hamlet. And that's all I know. I'm very excited to see what I think of O'Farrell's writing style because I've heard it's fantastic. And I do love a good fictionalized story about a person that history has seems to have mainly forgotten about, so I think this is going to be great. Next, we have got another beautiful book. It is The Pull of the Stars by Emma Donoghue, and this is also historical fiction, and I think it covers 3 days in total, and we meet 3 women who work in this tiny ward during a pandemic. So it's set in 1918, in the middle of like the time when the Spanish flu ravaged the world. I don't think I've ever really read any books that have anything to do with the Spanish flu. Like, I've read books set in 1918, but mostly they've been about like war, I think. So I think that'll be very interesting. And I also do love following just female characters. And I love books set in Ireland, so it seems to have a lot of elements that I think are really gonna work for me. Second to last, we have got even more historical fiction with 1,000 Ships by Natalie Haynes. And I saw this book on my shelves the other day and I was like, oh my god, I forgot about that. I need to read that. Which, to be honest, does happen to me quite a lot. This sounds really good though. I think it's a retelling of the Trojan War from the perspective of some of the women in it, which, you know, love to see it. I generally quite enjoy retellings like these, and I always appreciate when someone breathes some life into the female characters that are a part of these stories. I also think there's some fantasy elements in here as well, which sounds great. Last but not least, we have got We Are All the Same in the Dark by Julia Heberlin, and this cover just feels very wintry to me, so I kind of want to read it while it's winter, and it sounds really good. It's a mystery thriller and it's set in Texas, and I think it's about this unsolved disappearance. Like, someone disappeared from this town years ago and they were never able to solve the case, and then out of nowhere they find this girl in a field or something, and it seems like she has some sort of connection to the case and she might help figure it out, but she's mute. I do love a good small town mystery, and this sounds kind of dark, which intrigues me. Okay everyone, those are all the books that I had to show you today, and I would of course love to know if you've made a TBR for the season and what's on it, or you can just tell me about a book you're really excited to read. As usual, links to my Patreon and other social media will be in the description if you're interested, and I will see you soon. Bye!